What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin, and this is going to be a 12-rounder for the IBF Heavyweight World Title Eliminator, and this fight is going to be Saturday, January 1st, from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on Fox Pay-Per-View, and to get into both fighters' resumes, Luis Ortiz, fighting out of Cuba, holds a record of 32 wins, 2 defeats with 27 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently not ranked by BoxRec due to inactivity. And he's also the former WBA Interim Heavyweight World Champion. He's also a former WBC Heavyweight World Title Challenger. And first of all, to list both of his defeats, he has 2 knockout losses to Deontay Wilder, one happening in 2018, one happening late in 2019. And now to list some of his best victories, he has a knockout win over Bryant Jennings, a knockout win over Tony Thompson, a unanimous decision victory over Malik Scott, a knockout win over David Allen, a knockout win over Travis Kaufman, and a unanimous decision victory over Christian Hammer. And to get his opponent's resume, Charles Martin, fighting out of the United States, holds a record of 28 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw, with 25 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently not ranked by BoxRec as well, due to inactivity. And to first of all list both of his defeats, he has a knockout loss to Anthony Joshua and a unanimous decision defeat to Adam Kovnatsky. He's also the former IBF Heavyweight World Champion. And now to list his one and only draw, he has a majority draw early on in his career against Alvaro Morales in a 4-rounder. And now to list some of his best victories, he has a disqualification win over Gregory Corbin, a knockout win over Joey DeWaco, a knockout win over Vyacheslav Glaskov, and a knockout win over Gerald Washington. And in my opinion, this fight is a 50-50, and I think either man could actually win this one. I know Charles Martin is a huge underdog here, and I know that many people are actually picking Ortiz to win this fight, but, I mean, it seems like Charles Martin is sort of growing as a fighter and getting better as he's aging, whilst Ortiz is obviously dwindling in his 40s. So, I mean, Charles Martin, if you take a look back to when he was fighting, or for example, when he won his title against Vyacheslav Glaskov, I mean, he was slapping with his shots. He just didn't look that fluid. He wasn't just as powerful, it looked like. I mean, I know he had to come through a lot of adversity in these past 5 years since winning his title, but I mean, he just didn't look as polished, skillful, powerful, speedy. I mean, I know Martin isn't really what you think of as a fast heavyweight, but he just looks much better as a fighter overall compared to when he won his title 5 years ago. And he's just growing, and he seems like he's working hard in the gym. He had some good sparring, and yeah, I think I'm actually going to edge him to win this fight, I'm going to be honest. But I'll break down how I see this fight going exactly. But as for Luis Ortiz, I mean, he's looked very good in his career. I mean, back in 2016, I mean, that was really when he was seen as the boogeyman in the heavyweight division, knocking out Bryant Jennings. I mean, there was thoughts of him fighting like Vladimir Klitschko, all those guys. And, yeah, it wasn't able to happen because a lot of people were scared to fight him, but he was able to capture an interim title, which many people don't realize he was a former interim champion. And he was able to defend it a couple times, I believe so as well. But, yeah, Luis Ortiz, he could box, he could brawl, very good fighter. I mean, we saw against Deontay Wilder, he could brawl, he could box as well. In their first fight, he was ahead, or I thought he was ahead. It was really a close fight, but their second fight, I had Ortiz winning every single round. He was boxing beautifully, just outboxing Wilder, landing the jab, landing better shots, and just being the better fighter overall. Because Ortiz comes from that Cuban school of boxing. I mean, he's very fluid, even though he's very big. And, yeah, both of these fighters, I mean, when you talk about weight, for example, I mean, both of them weigh the same amount, so, I mean, there really isn't going to be a difference in, like, big time with speed and stuff and power. I mean, both these guys have very similar power, and they both have very good power. That's one thing to mention. Luis Ortiz, 27 knockouts and 32 wins. Martin, 25 knockouts and 28 wins. Both of them could bang, and I do not think this fight will go the distance no matter what. I think either man could get knocked out here, and it's going to be a really good fight in my opinion, and I'm actually really excited for it, to be honest. So, Charles Martin did win an eliminator against Gerald Washington, as I did list his best victories before. I didn't mention that it was an eliminator, but it was, and it made Charles Martin number 2 in the IBF, and he's been sitting there since February of 2020, so I mean, now we'll really get to see I mean, this spot could determine who fights like Filip Hrgovic, someone like that, maybe someone else ranked in the IBF. This really could determine a lot in the heavyweight division. So, yeah, and the winner might get the number 2 spot. Stay, like Charles Martin, if he wins, could stay at 2. Ortiz could get moved up to 2. Because I believe Filip Hrgovic was supposed to fight Michael Hunter, for a final eliminator, but that didn't happen, and there was just a lot of stuff. So, I mean, the winner of this fight could get a big opportunity to fight for a final eliminator, because I don't believe this is a final eliminator, or an interim title, etc. Just a lot of options here. But the winner will nonetheless be considered top 10, as Ortiz is considered top 10 by many, including myself. Charles Martin, in my opinion, a top 15 heavyweight. This is a good fight. So how I see this fight going down, I think the first 3 rounds will be clear in favor of Luis Ortiz. With his boxing ability and his speed, power, etc., I think he will be able to outwork Charles Martin in the first 3 rounds, while Martin is sort of trying to adapt to his style and win those 3 pretty easily, if I'm going to be honest. But then as the fight goes on, Ortiz, he's going on 43 years old, and who knows, many people consider him to be older. So, I mean, who knows, he could be 46, could be 47, but, I mean, he's still in really good shape nonetheless, for someone who's in his 40s, and, yeah, I mean, his energy has, or his stamina, I should say, has been giving up for him in his past couple fights. I mean, you could possibly say the same for Charles Martin against Adam Kovnati. Although he did perform very, very well in the later rounds, I mean, still, he was tired. Both him and Kovnati were tired, and, yeah, but he did win the last 4 rounds, in my opinion, clear. Maybe even one more after that. So that fight was a really close fight, but Martin still did lose. So, I mean, I wonder how Martin will do to adapt. I mean, it seems like he's been working hard. Seems like he's getting better, possibly working on conditioning and whatnot. So, or definitely working on his conditioning. So, I mean, Ortiz, I mean, as he's getting older, he has not really had a real fight since the second Wilder fight. Because I know he did fight in November of 2020, but that fight was literally like 20 seconds fighting Alexander Flores, and he just landed one shot to literally his shoulder, and Flores went down and just basically quit. I mean, it was a ridiculous fight. So, I mean, really, Wilder has not had a real fight since November of 2019. Charles Martin, obviously, since February of 2020, fighting Gerald Washington. So, I mean, both of these men have been out of the ring for a while, I guess you could say. I mean, Ortiz technically 14 months if you're going to obviously count that bout against Flores, although it was like literally seconds. But for Martin, yeah, or almost 2 years, I guess you could say. So he's been out for a while. But nonetheless, I'm very excited for it. But after those first 3 rounds, I think that Martin, as I mentioned before, will start to adapt. I think he'll start to land his left hands a bit more, and Martin does have power, as I mentioned before, and he'll start to land them on Ortiz. But I do not think that he'll be able to win a round until maybe the 5th, so I think still Ortiz would take the 4th, but I mean, it would be much closer where Martin really starts to come forward a bit more, land his shots, start to counter Ortiz a bit. But then, anywhere from the 6th round to the 10th round, I see Charles Martin landing big left hands on Luis Ortiz, and I think as Luis Ortiz is getting older, his durability is sort of shortening, I guess you could say, and I mean, he talked about this, if you watch their sort of fight documentaries leading up to this fight on like FS1 and whatnot, Luis Ortiz mentioned a lot about how, I mean, his family says he's crazy for fighting in his 40s, and he's really just going to continue up until he really thinks he can't, or he did say, he talked a lot about how, like, I mean, I didn't even know, he was just focusing on retirement. Same with his corner. Or his trainer even said, he's gonna get knocked out, or he's gonna score a knockout. He never mentioned, oh, he'll outbox Martin, he'll do this, he'll do that. So I wonder how Ortiz is adapting in the camp at this age, of roughly turning 43 in a couple months, or maybe even in a month. I don't even know when Ortiz's birthday is, but he's 42. So I mean, I just wonder how he'll adapt here. But yeah, as the 6th round starts, like the second half of the fight, about almost around there, I think Martin will start to do much better, start to come forward a bit more, land his jab, and really start to make this fight competitive, and he'll start to be winning. And I think that he'll be landing his left hands more. He could possibly drop Ortiz with one big shot, hurt him a couple of times, and I think he'll stop him anywhere from those rounds. But I could see Martin getting stopped. I mean, like I said earlier, I think either man could get stopped in this fight. I don't see it going the distance. I mean, if it does, it would most likely be an Ortiz win, if I'm going to be 100% honest, being that Ortiz is the better boxer. But as of now, I just think that either man could win this fight by knockout, and I'm edging Charles Martin, the younger and arguably more powerful man. Both of these guys holding a lot of power, but I mean, I think Charles Martin will end up being the victor here, getting the best victory of his career by far, beating a top 10 heavyweight in Ortiz. And that would definitely put him in the top 10 in my opinion if he's able to get this job done. Luis Ortiz definitely add to his resume if he's able to get this win. It'd be a great win, probably the best win of his career thus far, or definitely the best win of his career thus far. So, yeah, I think how Charles Martin could get a stoppage here, or that's what I think is going to happen. But how will it happen? I think Martin will probably, if it's going to happen, land a big left hand and drop Ortiz, really get him hurt, then just finish him off, or just drop him with one shot, and that is it. I mean, we saw Charles Martin's explosive power against Gerald Washington, landing one shot, putting him out. We saw him stop Joey DeWaco, only the second man to do that, or the first man actually ever to do that. And yeah, he really dominated in that fight, and we've seen Charles Martin's power before, and I think we're going to see it Saturday night, and I think he's going to get the job done, stopping Luis Ortiz from round 6 to round 10. So overall, I believe that Charles Martin will defeat Luis Ortiz by upset knockout victory from round 6 to round 10 to win the IBF Heavyweight World Title Eliminator. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.